All right, who is ready to get this party started on a Tuesday? Thanks, everybody who is here. Appreciate you joining us at the very beginning. It is show number 7. It's day 2 of week 2, the 23rd morning of the 12th month in the year of our Lord, 2025. And we got a lot of work to do today. We might be in a holiday week, but that doesn't mean we're on break. We will, of course, not have a live show on Christmas Day. I'll probably do one tomorrow, and I'll probably load up, some videos for you for Christmas Day, so that after Mass, church service, wherever you're going to go, and after you open up all the gifts and everybody, is Christmas Day not the most boring day in the world? And my wife has been saying that for years. It's not, it's not anything to do with the holiday. It's just that the excitement is built up for the morning, especially if you've got young ones opening presents, or even if you're just exchanging with the family or whatever the case might be. You have Mass or a service, and then you have a meal. And then what? The rest of the day is just like, there might be a basketball game on if you want to watch that. There might be, for the 74th time, you can watch one of your favorite Christmas movies or whatever. But Christmas Day is really kind of blah after the pageantry and the religious aspect of the morning and so forth. So anyway, I'll probably give you something to look at, and I'll load up a few things for you. If you follow the channel, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, etc., we'll probably put something up there for you just to pass the time on Christmas Day after all the fun stuff is going on. So thanks for being with us again. It is a Tuesday. It's the 23rd morning of the 12th month. And I want to just take a couple of minutes to say something directly. This show is brand new. We're barely a week old, and yet here we are. We're already reaching new people every single day who are hungry for the truth, without the filters, without the corporate guardrails and the corporate radio permissions, without media spin. So I'm just telling you, we need to put our foot on the gas. I love the fact that we now are up to 933 followers. We started last week with 300. They were just sitting there I have no idea why anybody followed it before. I didn't use the channel. But the channel is now up to 933 people. And my goal is saying, well, we got to get to 1,000, and then we got to do the next thing. And basically, to hell with all that. I'm announcing what I'm going to call the road to 10,000, the road to 10K. You ever run a 10K? You ever run a 5K? It's grueling. Takes some time, takes some effort, takes some stamina. The road to 10K followers and subscribers is going to take that too. But most importantly, it's going to take you. Okay? This is not about ego, and it's not about chasing numbers for the sake of numbers and views and monetizing and so forth. But this is about proving something important, that independent conservative voices like this one and yours can still win online if we build our platforms and we support each other. That's what this is all about. Rumble is where that happens. It's the one place where conservative content isn't punished or throttled or buried just for telling the truth. So that's the goal. 10,000 followers here on Rumble. Yeah, we're going to try to build up followers on YouTube as well. Yeah, we're going to try to build up followers on, Facebook and all the other platforms where we can do this. But 10,000 followers on Rumble is the goal. We're going to do a kind of a countdown, or not a countdown, but an update every milestone, every 100 or 500 or whatever, and we take another step closer. And hopefully it doesn't take that long. And theoretically, it shouldn't have to if we do this together. But what it means is, if you're watching right now and you believe this kind of commentary matters, especially heading into a midterm year, I'm asking you to hit the follow button and turn on the notifications and do what you have to do what you can do. I'm turning the music off, excuse my distraction. But turn on notifications and help us build something that doesn't answer to anybody else, any political handlers or corporate media, big office, corporate board members, or anybody else. All right. And the key is that it only works with you. That's just the bottom line. Every follow matters. Every share matters. Every person you bring with you matters. Take the video that's your favorite from the shows we've done already, or go back and look at just the hour-long interview specials that I've done. Take your favorite one and send it to somebody on your email list and say, great channel, follow this. Because people who have never heard of this, never heard of us, never heard of me, never heard of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered, we need to reach out to them. And when we hit the 10,000 mark, we are going to do a special show, no filters, no time limits, no holding back. And I'll tell you exactly what's coming next. So the public show stays free always, but the future of this platform is going to depend on whether or not we're willing to build it together. So the road to 10K is what I'm on now. And I'm glad you're on it with me. And I say that being about 70 people shy of 1K, but that is the goal. And I really, really want you to help me reach it for obvious reasons. All right. Having said all of that, to get started, as you can see in the description today, and by the way, hopefully you're getting the newsletter. The newsletter started out as Strictly Speaking This Week, which is once a week on every Sunday morning. I send you everything you need to know, 5 things you need to know, 5 things you need to do, plus an audio video highlight every Sunday morning. That was just a weekly newsletter. And if you subscribe to it, awesome. But if you subscribe to that, you also now get a daily update just on what's coming up on the next day's show. So I sent it this morning about 7:30 this morning, a little rundown of what we're going to talk about today, and that is violent crime. Violent street crime, because I was just so infuriated by the attack on the elderly woman in Seattle, Washington, that has gone viral. And I have some things to say. And what I have to say can't be limited to just that case, because that case is just the latest in a long string of cases of random or seemingly random, but not so random when you look into it, violent street crime targeting individuals who are completely defenseless. And I'm going to talk about that when we get into the meat of the show today. I've got some top news headlines that I want to do first, but that's going to be the meat of it. And you probably know some of the what I said at the in the newsletter. If you already received it, let me see if I can pull it up super quick here. Yeah, I said, what do these names mean to you? Jeanette Markin, Irina Zarutska, Debrina Kawam, Bethany McGee, and Holly from Cincinnati. Those are just the first 5 that we're going to cover. And if you recognize those names as victims, good for you. You're astute. You're onto it. You understand what's going on. These are all victims of some of the violent, horrific street crime being committed by multiple offenders who continue to be let out of jail after being processed through a soft criminal justice system, in most cases, in big cities where there are soft prosecutors pushing soft charges up to soft judges based on who are making decisions based on soft legislation put up by soft on crime legislators in big blue jurisdictions, largely. So that's what this is all about. And we're going to spend some time on that this morning. After we do kind of the top news of the day, and we do have a few things I want to get to here, that is going to be of primary importance. And I'm going to ask you to be active in the chat today as well. As I take a look over here right now, we got about 104 people. Let's get yourselves into the chat and let's try to build this up a little bit. And again, what are you doing right now? If you're working while you're listening and watching the podcast, great, keep going. If you're doing it passively, you're just sitting there watching it, do me a favor. Copy the URL, copy the link to the show, and drop it into an email and send it to 10 people. 10 people on your email list. I don't know how many people you got. I've got probably 25,000 people on my email list just from years and years of making acquaintances. But seriously, send it to 10 people on your email list. Send it to 10 people on your text list. You got 10 phone numbers in there. Copy it and say, here, follow this, watch this. Okay? People who trust you, who are like-minded, who would be interested in what we're doing here. I think that's a great way to do this. So if 100 people do that and 10 other people see it and say, okay, click, I'll check it out. Suddenly we've got 1,000 people watching and suddenly we are on our way to that 10K. Just ask them to like, follow, and subscribe when you do that. All right. So let's start with some of the important news stories of the morning. One of my favorite ones, and we're going to load it up right here. There's a lot to see on this page, so bear with me. This is, no, I take that back. That's not the one I want to start with. Like I said, I'll get into the violent crime situation momentarily. This is the one that I wanted to start with. That, as you know, is the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. And Kristi Noem has made an announcement, as has President Trump and the entire Department of Homeland Security. Did that come up yet? I got to share that tab instead. Sorry, we're still working our way through this. Share her. That's what I want to do. I want to share Secretary Noem with you so that you can listen to what she had to say. if I can be a little bit flippant about it, this is kind of cool. This is what President Trump is all about right now. He is about bringing people together, bringing families together. He is sending illegal aliens here in the United States home to their home countries so they can be with their families at Christmas time. Oh, by the way, you can't come back. But that's what he's trying to do is unite families. Anyway, Secretary Noem had an announcement. Yes, you already know the CBP Home app had been reconfigured. And this is just all kind of awesome too. That's why we love this guy. This is CBP One was an app created by the Biden administration to help illegal aliens schedule their arrivals and their paroling into the United States. That's what CBP One was. When Trump beat Kamala Harris like a drum, he came in and they immediately repurposed the existing tech, the existing app, renamed it CBP Home instead of One, and telling people, use it to deport yourself. Self-deportation is the key here. Get out, and then we'll give you $1,000 because it'll be a drop in the bucket compared to what it costs to have you stay. We'll give you $1,000. We'll give you a free flight to wherever it is you're coming from. And you will be allowed to eventually request a chance to come back into the country. If we got to come and find you, though, and drag you out, then guess what? You're done forever. You're not coming in. So CBP Home has been used for that. So what's new this time of year? What's new at Christmas time? The generosity of the administration with, yours and mine, our tax dollars. That's what has changed. Listen.
Well, it's home for the holidays season. So, not only are we returning those kiddos back to their families that Biden lost, we also are saying that if you voluntarily want to go home now to your country, if you're in this United States of America illegally, we will give you $3,000 through the holidays to send you home. We'll buy you a ticket, give you $3,000 to go home, and that includes people that have not been detained, maybe have interacted with us, are detained and don't have criminal charges against them. Raise your hand. We'll help you get home. We'll facilitate it, and you might get the chance to come back to this country the right way someday. If you wait until we interdict you and detain you and arrest you and have to deport you ourselves, you'll never get the chance to come back. So go on the CBP Home app and get the information, and we'll make sure you get home in time for Christmas.
Triple the award, triple the amount to get out. And by the way, the 1,000 one is already working tremendously well. You know, they have deported roughly in 11 months. The Trump administration has deported 2.5 million people already. Only 600,000 of those are catching them in the streets or following leads and so on and so forth and arresting them and deporting them that way. 1.9 million of the 2.5 million are self-deport. So this program is working. And again, is that a lot of money to give 1.9 million people $1,000 each? Yeah, but you have no idea how many billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars every year we spend on illegal aliens who are here. Spending $1,000 per to get them out is well worth it. But this is tripling it, obviously. And here is what the actual language of the, let's see if I can pull this up here for you real quick. The actual language of the new policy, the $3,000 policy says here. This is the story. During the Christmas season, U.S. taxpayer is so generously tripling the incentive to leave voluntarily for those in this country illegally, offering a $3,000 exit bonus, but just until the end of the year, as you heard Kristi Noem say. And as I just mentioned right here, since January, 1.9 million illegals have voluntarily self-deported. Tens of thousands have used that CBP Home app or program to do it. The reduced number of migrants will help raise Americans' wages. And this is why this matters. This is why this matters because, and I guess you're probably not seeing that full screen. Let me give you that so you can follow along with me here. This is why the $1,000 isn't like, a deal breaker for us. The reduced number of migrants here will help raise Americans' wages, reduce their rents, and encourage sidelined Americans to get back out and seek jobs again. It'll also force U.S. government and media elites to shift their focus from the concern of the migrants and the business groups to the concerns of ordinary citizens who are facing crime, discrimination, and poverty. There is much evidence and numerous anecdotes that many migrants are self-deporting, but no firm data show more than 1 million self-deportations. Okay, so this is a Breitbart story. They apparently have not caught up with, or maybe just don't believe DHS, but those numbers are verified by DHS that 1.9 million self-deportations have taken place. But nonetheless, here's some of what I wanted to share with you from this page. Here is a story. This was presented by, as you can see, something called 13 News here, as what a tragic story of a Colombian mother choosing to self-deport with her kids next week. You know, oh my gosh, look what's being forced to that on them here. But as you can see in the background, if you will, of the tweet, this was shared by ICE, is saying, you got to make the call. You can self-deport or we're coming to deport you. The choice is yours, but you're going one way or the other.
For 3 years, she's been raising her children on her own since January, after her husband was deported.
Porque yo pensé que me iba a quedar más tiempo aquí en este país.
She tells me she wanted to stay in the country longer and have better education for her kids. Goa Santos says ICE agents contacted her over the phone and gave her an option to either be detained or self-deport. She believes leaving is the best choice for her family.
Porque a mí no me gustaría ver que a mis hijos.
She says, I don't want my kids to see someone come into the house with a gun or have them or her be handcuffed. Goa Santos plans to make the most of her last few days she has here. She still says she has plenty to be grateful for. She's thankful to God, for her kids, and family. I asked her what she'll miss most about being here in the U.S.
Las personas.
The people, she tells me.
So again, that was put out there by the media as a sob story of, oh, isn't this cruel? Let her stay. Let her and her kids stay. And you know what? For her and her kids, maybe, if it was just them. But multiply that times 15 million, because that's what happened. Between 10 and 20 million illegals were allowed in under Joe Biden, and we cannot absorb that. And if you let one of them stay, then how do you decide who else doesn't get who else gets to stay? Here's another one real quick.
Boomers want to know what it's like being young in 2025. Here it is. I just got off an 8-hour shift at work where I make double minimum wage in my state. I hop in my car, check my banking app. Cool, I've got $50 to last me till next week. Then I remember, oh shit, I have to run to Walmart because the wire in my bra snapped. I don't have underwear because it keeps going missing. My eyelash curler broke, and I have no food. I bought 4 things. 4 fucking things, and it came out to $40!
Oh no!
I'm living off granola bars. But I hop my depressed ass back in my car, and I look at my banking app again. Oh cool, I've got $10 now to last me till next week. I try to drive, but my car keeps misfiring. I can't afford to fix that. So I keep on parking, turning off my car, turning it back on, until it decides to act right. 30 minutes later, I'm finally heading home.
All right, I've seen enough. It's hard for me to get past the nose ring. But this is typical. These are the impacts of unchecked, rampant multi-millions of individuals who are here illegally. This is the impact on Americans who can't afford this, that, or the other thing. And I could go on and on this page. The streets of LA, all of the drug addicts and the homeless and all of the trash there, in large part, the responsibility of illegal aliens who are taking up the resources that these American citizens would be receiving otherwise. So it's really important to note that. And let me stop that now so that I can get back to a couple of other things that I wanted to share with you. Yeah. But that's just one of, the examples of the American citizens, American people being harmed by this rampant, unchecked immigration. And the $3,000 per individual to self-deport them, to incentivize them to self-deport, is money well spent, because we'll save that money in wages and in rent and so on and so forth, cost of education, cost of healthcare, and so forth, many, many times over, as was explained by DHS. Now, here's the other thing. This one is a little bit apart from the norm. What I mean by that is this isn't just the story of illegal aliens and the cost to the American people. This is the story of the fraud that comes with the welfare program. We all know that the Medicare program is rife with fraud. We all know, we've talked about it at length over the course of the last couple of years, really since Doge in January, about the welfare program, the Medicaid program, all of the food, programs, EBT, and so on and so forth. How bad is the graft? How bad is the fraud? That's kind of one of the questions that needs to be answered here. So I want to share this with you. I've got no graphics for you on this. I'm just going to tell you the story as I read it. The average American household that is on welfare, you know how much money they're taking in? And this is, again, legal and illegal. Just anybody that's here using the welfare system. In America, the average household on welfare takes in $70,000 per year. I'd like to ask low to middle class income Americans, low to middle income class, I guess is what I'm trying to say, Americans, do you take in 70,000 on your own and your own work, on your own efforts? A lot of people will say no. Somebody working hard and making $45,000 a year, maybe the spouse is making $25,000 a year, $70,000, working your butt off for it. The welfare class is taking in $70,000 a year in the household. And this is how we know it, because this is what they're trying to do about it. Former Senator Phil Gramm and former Assistant Commissioner at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, John Early, wrote a piece for the Wall Street Journal this morning, pointing out the other great fraud of welfare in the United States. Gramm and Early say, quote, something is profoundly wrong with the U.S. welfare system. A problem that runs far deeper and is far more dangerous than the shocking fraud in Minnesota that has been making headlines. Across the past half century, America has seen what in any other country would be considered a golden age, in which lower income households have made incredible progress. Despite the end of our post-war economic dominance around 1975, the country's real per capita gross domestic product grew by 142%. From 1974 to 2024. More than 2/3 of U.S. households have inflation-adjusted incomes today that would have put them in the top 1/5 of households in 1967. I know these statistics can get a little bit wonky. Bear with me. I'm getting to the money line, the literal money line. 62% of the children who grew up in the poorest fifth of all households back in the 70s and 80s worked their way up to a higher income bracket as adults, some all the way to the top quintile. Yet even as our economy has experienced that broad-based growth, real federal welfare spending has soared by 765%. So again, the wonkiness here. The real per capita gross GDP grew by 142% over the course of those 50 years, but welfare spending is soared by 765%. That's more than twice as fast as total federal spending. So basically what they reported is it now costs $1.4 trillion annually to provide welfare for quote unquote needy Americans or needy people in America. Some of them are immigrants, some of them are legal, some of them are not. But $1.4 trillion annually on welfare. If you divide that money out or dole it out evenly to the 19.8 million families that the government defines as poor, all right? The government has a standard that, defines poverty. And they have decided that 19.8 million families in the United States, legal or illegal, are poor. $1.4 trillion doled out to 19.8 million families is more than $70,000 a year per family, per household. You follow this? The source of this dramatic mismatch is a fraud built into how various programs determine welfare eligibility. The government doesn't count any refundable tax credits or benefits that aren't paid in cash as income to the recipients. So all of the other benefits that are paid if they're not paid in cash, they don't count. And welfare eligibility in terms of the poverty standard, in terms of nationality, citizen, and so on and so forth, all of those things are legitimate sources of the fraud. So the bottom line here, and the point that I'm making on all of this, is that what Trump has done in the first calendar year or 11 months of his first year of his presidency has been extraordinary insofar as I don't want to say forget about the economy. It's obviously the economy is impacting all of us. And that's probably number one is, our living. But what I mean is, if you take the economy and set it to the side for a second, if you take the energy industry and put it to the side for a second, you take all of the wars stopped, if you take all of the culture victories, and the shutting down of men and women's sports and all that other stuff, if you put all of that to the side, and just focus on the number one core issue that Donald Trump ran on 10 years ago, when he came down the golden escalator and said, I'm going to build a big, beautiful wall. And what he ran on 1 year ago when he said, we're going to close Biden's open red carpet border. It was the number one issue. And the fact that we have had 0.0 illegal aliens come into the United States and be released into the interior in the last 7 months is nothing short of a miracle, an absolute miracle. And more importantly, it is nothing short of necessary. It had to be that way. Not only did it have to be that way to stop the illegals from coming in because of crime and all kinds of other things, but absorbing the American resources, making that $1.4 million or $1 trillion in handouts to the quote unquote poor go higher and higher and higher, with more and more American citizens getting a smaller and smaller share of it. That had to stop. And that's what the sealing of the border was all about. And that's what the deportation that is underway right now is all about, including the incentivized self-deportation. It is all a huge, huge factor in what I hope people are paying attention to going into 2026. It's making us great again. You understand that? The left wants to say, oh, it's racism, black and brown people being deported, black and brown Americans being swept up in the net, and they don't care, and blah, blah. My ass. No, it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has nothing to do with nationality. It has everything to do with affordability. They say it's a crisis every night on CNN, on NBC, on MSNBC. They say there's an affordability crisis, don't they? Well, if it's an affordability crisis, what is making America more affordable than making sure that Americans split up what America has to give, rather than illegal aliens taking a massive, massive chunk of whatever that government dole gives out? So that's the bottom line. The economy is stronger, the jobs will be better, the wages will be higher, the rent will be lower, insurance will be more affordable, school classes will be smaller. Waiting rooms in emergency rooms, waiting lines will be shorter. All of those things when President Trump finishes doing what he has already started, and all of us going to benefit from it economically, financially. So those are a couple of really important stories. I've got one more story before I dive into the crime story that I was talking about here, because this just happened quite literally within the last couple of hours, I guess. They dumped another batch of some 30,000 Epstein files. 30,000 more Epstein files were released, and President Trump is already talking about it. I want to share this one with you too, if I am able to do so. Again, working our way through this process. Let me... Yeah, it looks like I lost the share, so I'm going to have to restart this whole thing. Give me 1 second here, but I'm going to have this for you. It's important that you hear what President Trump had to say about this, I think, anyway. Yeah, there we go. And hopefully you can see this now. This is President Trump speaking about the latest dump of the Epstein files, in which pictures of a lot of celebrities and leaders, and yes, even President Trump, are reportedly there. And so he wanted to get out in front of it and tell people, hey, let's not be too hasty and too judgy about all of this until we know more. Listen.
Surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files, and can you commit to their full?
What?
And were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files, and can you commit to their full release by the end of the year? Some of the victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I don't like I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they're giving their photos of me too. Everybody was friendly with this guy, either friendly or not friendly, but he was around. He was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers. And Bill Clinton was a friend of his, but everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. And as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. Mar-a-Lago, this is Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest place I think it's the hottest place in the world, but it's the hottest place in Florida. And everybody would come here. He'd come here. We actually threw him out. But no, I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it. But you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago, and they're highly respected bankers and lawyers and others, and they'll end up, because of guys like Massey, who's a real lowlife, whose polls are down to about 9%, by the way, in the great state of Kentucky. If you look at Kentucky, Kentucky is such a great place, but I don't know, they've got a couple of people on there that are very strange in terms of leadership, but Massey's a loser, and he likes it, and that he works with the Democrats. He's just being used by the Democrats, because what this whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished. I believe they gave over 100,000 pages of documents, and there is tremendous backlash. It's an interesting question, because a lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin a reputation of somebody. So a lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success. Look, we have $18 trillion coming into our country. We have, I believe, we're going to have the most successful economy in history.
Okay, so that's President Trump responding to questions about the actual Epstein files that have been released and the pictures of Bill Clinton. And as you heard him say there, I got no problem with Bill Clinton, and I don't like the fact that so many people are being caught up in photographs near Jeffrey Epstein that have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. He said, and you become guilty by association, and he finds that very unfair. He blamed Thomas Massey, blamed Ro Khanna, and those who were responsible for the bill or the discharge vote that they had to release every single file, regardless of the circumstances. So that has led to something else that I want to share with you real quick, and this is a tweet this morning by the Department of Justice announcing the most recent batch, the most recent file dump from the Epstein files. So I want to share this one with you now. And hopefully you can see this, and if you can't, you will in just a second. So yeah, this is a tweet from the U.S. Department of Justice, and their actual message from 7:30 this morning. It's already got 1.2 million views on it. The Department of Justice has officially released nearly 30,000 more pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Now listen to this, because this is what the left is going to pounce on and suggest that they're trying to already cover up for President Trump. Here's what the DOJ put in this tweet. Some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. Nevertheless, out of our commitment to the law and transparency, the DOJ is releasing these documents with the legally required protections for Epstein's victims, meaning, of course, that the victims will be redacted, both names and images. So This is, the responses to this, of course, are going to be all over the place. The left is going to say, oh, look at what Bondi and the DOJ did here. Bondi and the DOJ said Trump is going to be in this batch of pictures. Trump is going to be in this batch of files. And they're already covering for him and saying, by the way, all of the stuff about Trump are unfounded and false. They're untrue. Everything else, you're on your own. Figure it out for yourself. I'll be 100% honest. It's not a great look. It's not a great look to tweet that. I think personally, they should have just stuck with, here is everything. And they did to a degree with that last line. Here is everything. And everybody that may have been associated with, pictured with, hanging out with or whatever at one point in time, Jeffrey Epstein, here they all are. And yes, Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein like so many others did. And as President Trump said in his press conference, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago way back in 2004, long before all of the pedophilia and Epstein Island, shenanigans had been revealed or known, right? But the last line should be the only line, in my opinion anyway. The last line that says, if Donald Trump did anything untoward, if Donald Trump did anything illegal, if Donald Trump did anything remotely inappropriate, they would have plastered it on a 24/7 loop on CNN back in 2015, going into the election against Hillary. And even if that hadn't worked, they would have plastered everything that they could accuse him of. They would have plastered it on up 24/7 on MSNBC and on the front page of the New York Times and the Washington Post and every other left-wing rag in the country when he ran up against Biden in 2020. They had access to all of this through the entirety of Joe Biden's term. Merrick Garland and his DOJ, they had access to everything. They could have done. They had Comey. They had, at the beginning, they had McCabe. They had every opportunity for every enemy of Trump to use every file that they could find there to tear him down before the 2020 election. They didn't, because there wasn't anything. And then they had every opportunity to use it again last year when they were running Kamala Harris, the worst candidate for president, honestly, in modern American political history. They could have helped her by really, look at Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. But they knew there was no there. They knew these were nothing burgers. Otherwise, they would have weaponized them and used them already. So now these are just files contained within 30,000 files of other people. So in my mind, there's nothing for them to hide. In my mind, there's nothing for them to try to explain away in a tweet the way the DOJ did there. In my mind, they should have just said, here's everything. President Trump's involvement in this is obviously completely circumstantial and not of any inappropriateness whatsoever. If there was, Team Kamala, Team Joe, Team Hillary. Merrick Garland, the DOJ, Eric Holder, before that, they all would have found every piece of dirt that they could possibly find on Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein and would have used it to destroy him in those campaigns. They didn't. They even tried to make crap up. You remember the P-tape? Remember the supposed existence of the P-tape involving sexual activity, and I won't even get into the disgusting nature of it, that they said was just completely bogus, just like they faked the Russia hoax, the Russia collusion hoax, just like they used two different fake impeachments. They did everything they could fake. They invented crimes to stop him this past year in New York City and in Washington and in Florida. They tried to make up, lawfare crimes to jail him. Everything they could think of to stop him, no matter how wildly unlikely and almost impossible that these scenarios could be true, they tried them anyway. They invented them, no matter how crazy they were, and they ran with them, but they didn't stick. So can you imagine if they were willing to make all that crap up, if they didn't have to make stuff up? All they had to do was go into the Epstein files and pull out all the Trump stuff and say, hey, look at this. Big guy, your guy is a pedophile and he hangs out with the pedophiles and he was on the island and there's this evidence against him and so forth. They would have done that. They would have just plastered it. Red flashing neon lights, MAGA, Trump, pedophile. They would have done all of that. So take the dump that came out today and treat it like what it likely is, a big pile of dump. All right. And know that they have nothing on Trump. If they did, they would have used it. What else is in there about Bill Clinton or anybody else? Prince Andrew, foreign heads of state, anybody else that they were trying to protect is anybody's guess. But the truth of the matter is, and the reality of the situation is, they're dumping this today. They released a statement that in my mind looks like they're trying to be a little bit too protective and try to cover something up. I don't like that idea, but I also am 100,000% convinced there is nothing in there that makes Donald Trump complicit in any crimes or anything untoward, anything inappropriate with respect to the Epstein files. All right, so those are just 3 top stories that I wanted to get a piece of for you this morning. And I want to see what you have to say about it in the chat, too. I'm going to take a short time out here, give me a rest, going to take a drink of water or two, going to come right back. I'm going to check the chat, and then we're going to get into the theme of today's show, which, again, you can see in the description on the Rumble page right now. Or if you got the newsletter this morning, you're well aware of what we're talking about. We're talking about this extraordinary rise in violent crime, individual assaults against defenseless people, the likes of which we are seeing far too much of. We are far, far too much. The Seattle grandmother who just lost her eye in that attack put me over the edge, to be 100% honest. That's the reason that's the reason I'm bringing this up, I should say. And that's the reason we're going to spend time talking, not just about her, but about all of the others in recent months that continue to appear. And we have to ask ourselves, what are we, and this is what I actually tweeted, what are we supposed to do as decent people wanting to live in a decent society when indecency runs wild, when animals are allowed to roam free outside of cages? And I'm not talking about tigers being let loose at the zoo. I'm talking about the human animals in our streets, burning, stabbing, gouging, beating people to death. These are people who were already in cages. They've already been convicted multiple times, and yet they keep being let out of their cages to go and find new prey on our streets. I'm not okay with that. You should not be okay with that. I hope what comes of this is a little bit more awareness, a little more enlightenment, and quite frankly, a little bit more rage. Because all right, let me get that quick time out. I'm going to come back and hit you with some videos that you probably don't want to see, but you should see, because that's the only way we can understand this. Right back. All right, everybody, timeout over. Kind of weird when you get used to radio with built-in news breaks at the top and bottom of the hour and commercial breaks at the quarter hour, and then you get on a straight 2 hours at a time roll. It's a little bit different. It hits a little different. You got to find a way to take a break every now and again. So thanks for your indulgence in that. I appreciate it. I appreciate you very much. So we are set to get into, again, the theme of the show. So here's what I wrote, as I said a little bit earlier on in the newsletter that went out this morning at 7:30 for everybody who is, and we've got about 2,500 subscribers on the newsletter right now, 2,600, I think. And by the way, every single one of them should be listening and should be follower and a subscriber to the Rumble channel. So if you're listening right now, good on you. Again, share this with other people. Let them know. Send a link to today's actual live cast that we're doing right now, the live stream we're doing right now. Share this with them and tell them hop on, and don't forget to follow and subscribe. But this is how we grow it. But I sent this out to those of you who are in the email, on the email list for the newsletter, which you can be if you go to strictlyspeaking.org and just put in your name and your email address, and you'll get this every day too. But what I wrote is, what do the names of these people do for you? Jeanette Markin, Irina Zarutska, Debrina Kawam, Bethany McGee, and Holly from Cincinnati. Recognize any of them? You might, because these are the names of women that have all been brutalized by not so random violent street crime that has shocked the civilized world in recent months. Jeanette is the latest. She was attacked in Seattle by a multiple violent offender who hit her in her face with a piece of wood with a screw in it, gouging out her eye and fracturing her face. In fact, all of these victims and others were attacked by animalistic thugs with multiple offenses who continue to be processed through the system and released to prey upon more victims. And then I have a typo here. I wrote Wednesday when it's, of course, Tuesday, but I said Wednesday morning. We will discuss in depth what we can do as decent people trying to live in a decent society with a left-wing criminal justice system filled with soft prosecutors, presenting cases to soft judges, working with soft laws passed by soft legislators. We have the video and the facts, and we'll ask you to decide what can be done. Come with your questions and potential answers when you join the chat. And that's what I'm going to ask the chatters right now to do. I got the chat window open. I see a bunch of people, and that's outstanding. Love to see you all there. To those writing no sound at the beginning, please understand that's a placeholder video at the top of the show. Okay, that's a placeholder. It's B-roll. It's not supposed to have audio. It's just a roll of old interviews and things like that. It's just B-roll. You're not going to hear sound there. Okay, just FYI. So let me just get a few messages here from the chat before we dive into some of those cases that I was just talking about. Thank you, Lindy, for the compliments on the sweater. I do like myself a good V-neck sweater. Let's see. Instead of giving illegal aliens money to leave, there's a lot of people in the United States that could use that $1,000 just as well, says Kaiser. Kaiser 3600. Listen, I get that. It was the first thing I said back on corporate radio at the time back in February, March or whatever, when the CBP One app was announced, and that the CBP One app rather was being converted into the CBP Home app. Which is to, self-deport these people and to give them $1,000. I said the same thing. Don't give them money to do the right thing. Well, here's the thing you have to understand. It's not like a finite, either they get the 1,000 or an American gets the 1,000. It's either they get the 1,000 and use it as an incentive to leave, or we have to pay thousands more to more ICE members and more local law enforcement to coordinate and collaborate with, to find them in the streets and the homes, on the job site, or wherever it is that they are, and then remove them forcefully. While that's going on, do we have to pay the thousands for those individuals and for all of those efforts? While that's going on, they're still here taking up an American's job. They're still here while we're hunting for them, taking up EBT cards. While they're still here, they're taking up spaces. Their kids are taking up spaces in our schools. They're taking up spots in the emergency room. You got the point? All of this costs us so much more than $1,000. Okay? So it's worthwhile to give the 1,000 to them to say, get out, save our resources. We will now be better off financially and able to help more American citizens that way than it would be for us to try to track all those people down. So that's the reason I came and made my peace with okay, I'll give you the $1,000 if you just get out. And I'll give you the incentive. You may be able to reapply to come here legally after the fact. But if we do have to spend our money and our manpower and our resources chasing you down, finding you, and deporting you that way, you're never, ever going to be allowed to be on a list to come back in the United States again. That's my belief, Kaiser, and you don't have to agree with it, but I just want to give you because I agreed with you at the beginning. I don't like that either. Kaiser says, okay, now it's 3,000. Exactly. That's exactly correct. But this is an incentive. They've got 22.5 million illegals who have been deported, either self-deporting or by force in just 11 months. They want to ramp that number up, and they're hoping to close 2025 with a flurry or a flourish, I should say, and really get a lot of people out of here between now and then, so that the first calendar year, actually going into January 20th of 2026, the first calendar year of Trump, they'd probably like to be able to say, we got rid of 3 million of Biden's 10 to 15 to 20 million who came in. We got rid of 3 million in year one. And next year, when the one big beautiful bill kicks in and the funding for thousands of more ICE agents takes effect, watch and see how much faster those deportation numbers pick up in year number 2. And then in year number 3 and year number 4, God willing, we win the midterm elections. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. That's why they're doing this in a hurry right now. Let's see. Ben says, dang, we might have come close if my wife wasn't between jobs, but sure as heck, I'm not sure if that's about the money, the $3,000, maybe not. Michelle says, Kaiser, exactly. So now we're paying them to leave, return, and come back, but have not done. See, I'm sorry. You guys got to stay on task here. We're not paying them to leave and return and come back because nobody is coming back. Did you miss the part about 7 months? For 7 months, there have been 0 illegal aliens released into the interior of the United States. 0. So once they're deported, self-deported, and they take their $1,000 or their $3,000 and get out, they're not able to come back. Okay? Because we've closed the border. All it took, as Trump said, was a different president. Didn't take millions of dollars or new legislation, just a president to commit to sealing the border. And it's working. So let's try to be fair about what they're saying here. SRL said, Bob, I don't even bring that in. I'm 30K less than what welfare. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is about the 70 grand. The average welfare home in the United States, according to a report just done by, who did I say it was? I just want to give attribution whenever I talk about stuff that other people have said. It's Phil Graham, former senator, and former assistant commissioner at BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, John Early. They did the report. They did the study that the average American or average family in America, household in America that's on welfare is taking in 70 grand a year from the government. That's dividing the $1.4 trillion that's being spent by the number of families and quote unquote households who are regarded as poor by the federal government standards. So those impoverished places accepting welfare are getting collectively or individually, I should say, 70 grand per family. SRL says, I don't even bring that in. I'm 30K less than what welfare brings home. And I'm a divorced dad of 2 paying child support and trying to afford an apartment, which keeps going up every year. Brother, I feel you, man. And I hear you and I agree with you. It's wrong. And that's why I'm so pissed off that Doge stopped its job before it was done. Doge got rolling and for 6 months found all of the waste, fraud, and abuse in so many of the government agencies, including welfare, including Medicaid, and so forth. But, obviously it disbanded. They say that it is still, how do they phrase it? It's being kind of, compartmentalized. Doge is still being done in each of the individual agencies across the government. It's just not having one centralized hub or home now called Doge. But they say that the work continues. I hope that is the case because that fraud is what's causing these people to make all of that money, so much more than hardworking men like you and me. Politically incorrect mechanic says, how much does it cost in personal and property damage from rioters to deport one illegal compared to throwing $1,000 at them to leave on their own and attempt to come back legally? Spot on. The costs of trying to letting them stay until we catch them are far higher than the cost of giving them $1,000 or $3,000 at Christmas time. This only goes to the end of the year to leave. It's fact. Let's see. Anyone complaining about paying them to leave, taking into consideration that this is absolutely ruining the population, population counts in Democrat districts that count illegals so they can have more representatives. Spot on. Exactly correct. NCCIG, it costs them more than $3,000 per person to deport them, and trying to keep ICE agents safe from these idiots who protest deportations. So $3,000 is better than trying to find them and expose agents to idiots. These are all great answers. 100% true. Keep that up. Keep that up. We got more people coming into the chat. We got more people listening too. Keep that up. Share this information, please, with everybody. And don't forget, if you're enjoying the conversation and you want to support the channel, it's the only way the channel is going to stay on. It's the only way I'm going to be able to afford to stay here and to do this every day. Hit the tip jar at the bottom, if you would. It's called a Rumble Rant. Drop something in it if you can. If you can't, no big deal. There are a lot of other ways to donate and become a monthly donor. If you would like to do that, just have it a recurring thing. There are a lot of different ways to do that too. Just look at the crawl going across the bottom of your screen and or in the description of the channel, and you'll find those locations to do that too. All right, as we approach now the top of the hour, I want to dive into that the violence that I was discussing, the woman in Seattle, like it's the one who just put me over the top here, what happened to her. So I want to share the screen again so you can see exactly what we're talking about. And we're going to go through 7 shocking random violent street and transit crimes that have taken place just in the past few months. It is actually one of these stories goes back to 2023. I take that back, but that's irrelevant to what we're trying to say here and what we're trying to do here. So let me see if I can fit that on the screen there and give this to you. There's going to be some video. There's going to be some stuff that I just need to explain. The reason I focused on this right now is because of this picture. Do you see that police officer holding that big hunk of wood with that giant metal, that steel bolt in it? It's a bolt with a nut and a washer on it. Now, I'm pointing that out because, you know, the description that we're given by the media and by the police in this thing is that a woman was hit with a board with a screw in it. That would be bad enough to have one of those jam you in the eye. I found this to be even worse. I found this to be just that much more deplorable isn't the word I want to use because Hillary used that word, but just so completely disgusting and infuriating and grotesque because of the way what that is. I mean, if you just look at that photograph, see it up close. I don't know if I can enlarge this for you anymore or not. I'll try. But it's a bolt with a nut and a screw. And if you imagine that getting inside the eye socket, when it gets pulled back out again, that washer behind that nut is going to pull everything within its reach with it. And that's what was used to gouge out this woman's eye. Now, let me share some of the story with you. Jeanette Markin, and there she is. There's a picture in the hospital with that bandage over her eye. All right. This is the actual video of the attack, which I hate to say I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show you. You've probably already seen it. It's gone viral. But let me just read the story. A summary. Jeanette Markin was walking near the King County Courthouse in broad daylight when she was randomly attacked without warning. Prosecutors say Fail Vigalepa P. approached her and smashed her in the face with a wooden board embedded with a metal screw or bolt. It's a bolt. The blow destroyed one of her eyes, leaving her permanently blind on that side and caused multiple facial fractures. Surveillance video shows the attacker strike and then just walk away. Court records and local reporting show that P had been arrested at least 8 times earlier in the same year. This year, 8 times, including for assault and weapons-related offenses. Yet none of those arrests resulted in charges before this attack, which is the real reason I'm doing this show. The real reason I want to do this for the next hour and talk about all 7 of these attacks is because what they have in common is so much more important than that which makes them different. Multiple repeat offenders allowed to go free from the cages in which these animals belong. to go out there and seek out new prey in the jungle. That's what this is about. This was not a robbery. This was not an argument. This was not a dispute. This was an elderly, defenseless, 75-year-old woman targeted at random. Now, this is the part where you're going to see it. If you have already seen this probably won't come as too much of a shock to you. But if you have not yet seen it, prepare yourself. It's not easy to look at, if I'm being 100% honest. It will freeze right at the moment of contact, but it's still grotesque. Watch.
75-year-old Jeanette Markin standing on the corner, and police say this is Fale Pea walking up with a stick in his hand when out of nowhere he attacks her. Jeanette is knocked to the ground. Bystanders take a picture of the suspect, then rush to help Jeanette. The full scope of what happened.
Pause that there on the moment of the backswing again, because as you can see, this wasn't a love tap. Do you see that baseball grip he's got? Do you see that full windup that he's got? And you know the screw or the bolt with the nut and the washer on it that he's got? He is intending to do exactly what he did. He didn't hit her lightly. It wasn't just an attention getter. He swung that like he was swinging at a freaking Nolan Ryan fastball and drove that bolt and nut and washer into her eye and then walked away, which is one of the most disgusting things. And it's common in all of these stories I'm going to share with you. We've all seen the one who, I'll save it for Arena Zarutska in a few moments, but they commit these heinous attacks, light somebody on fire, stab them, hit them, and then walk away like it's just a casual stroll in the park day for them. That's what's so repugnant. But here we go.
Where he attacks her. Jeanette is knocked to the ground. Bystanders take a picture of the suspect, then rush to help Jeanette. The full scope of what happened wasn't clear yet. Police arrested Pea a block away and found the weapon, this wooden board with a screw through the end of it. Police say that screw went through Jeanette's eye.
Who is this guy? Is he?
He's a regular. He usually punches. I guess today he decided to escalate things way worse than his usual.
Where is he usually?
He's usually just up and down third.
As paramedics race her to the hospital, it becomes obvious police know Fale Pea well.
Do you have the suspect's ID?
Yeah, suspect's ID. He's being searched right now. Yeah. You know him?
Oh, he's notorious for random assaults on 3rd Street.
Court records show Pea had multiple prior convictions for assault, including stabbing someone 8 times at a party.
Was that?
I take no chances.
70.
We got to,
Suzanne Vermontes, Tanya Tucker, DBGGS.
Looks like there's an autoplay going on there after the video ends. So no big deal. What is a big deal is what we just saw and heard, not only about the baseball swing that I pointed out, not only about that, and bear with me as I get the next clip ready for you here, but it's not just about that. It is about what you heard the police and the other witnesses there saying about this guy. He is a repeat offender. He is a multiple offender. He is a guy who usually punches. He's known for assaults, committing assaults up and down 3rd Street. He's been arrested multiple times, the most serious of which was stabbing somebody 8 times. He is not fit to live with humans. He's not fit to live among people. He's not human. These kinds of individuals are animals, and I don't give a rat's red ass what color they are. I don't know what's his name, Fale Pea. I don't know what he is. I don't care. He can be as white as the virgin snow. He can be as black as he can be brown. It can be Latino, Asian. I don't care. He's not human. He's an animal. Animals belong in cages. This guy has been arrested and taken to cages multiple times, and they keep opening the door because of what I said before. Soft prosecutors, soft judges, and soft legislators. They don't care about the public. They care about people, particularly if they are minorities. This is where I said, I don't care. They do. Particularly if they are minorities. We got too many minorities in the criminal justice system. We got too many minorities that are in prisons or jails. And it makes it look like it's a corrupt system that's, targeting minorities or whatever the case might be. Sorry, I've got to clean these. I can't see the screen very well when they're all nasty like this. But the bottom line is they want to keep releasing these people because they've got quotas and they've got numbers and they've got DEI and all kinds of other crap going on where they would put the public at risk rather than, have their crime statistics make it look like there's, something wrong with one particular race or minority group or another. And that's why this is a common theme through all of these that I chose to share with you today. But that video, and let me see what else I was going to show with you here from the New York Post story. And it might have already been covered in the Gateway Pundit story on this, but let me pull it up real quick anyway. Yeah, just the cops admit that he's notorious. There's some of the same pictures. There she is, sitting up and obviously on the mend. The violent offender used both hands to swing the piece of wood as hard as possible, bashing his victim and then calmly strolling away. Separate body cam later captured cops immediately recognizing the alleged perp as a notorious repeat offender when they went to nab him. There he is, Fale Pea or whatever it is. There's that board again. And then he's been booked 8 times this year alone, but none of them resulted in felony charges. None of them. Wait a minute. Didn't we just hear them say that he was arrested for stabbing somebody 8 times? That wouldn't be a felony? That wouldn't be attempted murder? I mean, that wouldn't be felonious assault? I thought I heard that. In fact, I know I heard that. The revelation infuriated the victim's family as they demanded to know what the hell is wrong with the soft-on-crime system. She remembers the shock, the pain, the fear of suddenly not being able to see, her son said, on a GoFundMe page set up to help with the medical costs. Strangers, people I will always be grateful for, rushed to help her, but she could only hear their voices. Her vision in her right eye was gone, and she was losing too much blood. At the hospital, we learned she had multiple fractures in her face, skull, and nose, and that the damage to her right eye was permanent. She will never see from that eye again. So you understand the point here. The point here is that this is the result of a criminal justice system that is beyond broken. The criminal justice system is allowing people, let me adjust the screen here for a moment, is allowing people to be victimized by animals who should not be living among normal people. That's what cages were built for. That's what cages were built for. Okay? Just because someone has the species designation of human does not mean they are not animals. Animals can be violent and vicious, and when they are, we either put them down or we lock them up in cages. And the system in Seattle, in that particular case, won't do it. And I think what you're going to find in all of these 7 cases that I'm going to feature, all of them are the same types of criminal justice systems, same kind of type of prosecutors, judges, left-wing, big blue cities, etc. Case number 2, you see her face. What a beautiful, beautiful young woman. And that, of course, is a face that a lot of people got to know very in depth. Actually, you know when it was? It was about a week or so before Charlie Kirk was murdered. Irina Zarutska was.
There's growing
No, I don't want you to start yet. I just want you to chill out. I wanted to enlarge the picture. So hopefully you can see that a little better. What a beautiful young woman, a model. And I think she was trying to be an actress as well. She's an immigrant from Ukraine. She's here. She's working hard. I think it was at a pizza shop, coming off of her shift, and hops on the light rail home in Charlotte, North Carolina after her shift. And I think we know the story, but we're going to cover it a little bit more now. 23 years old, Ukrainian refugee, fled the war zone that is Ukraine for safety. Comes here, was riding the Lynx Blue Line after work when she was suddenly attacked and stabbed in the neck. Surveillance footage captured the unprovoked assault. She collapsed and later died from her injuries. The U.S. Department of Justice described DeCarlos Brown Jr. as a repeat violent offender with 14 prior arrests, including a 5-year prison sentence for armed robbery. Despite this history, he was free at the time of the killing. Somebody left the gate to his cage open. That animal, who was supposed to be kept in a zoo-like quarantine away from humans, was allowed to go out and get to humans. Federal authorities cited the case as a failure to protect the public from known violent offenders. That is what all of these stories are, and that's why we're focusing on
Rage
them.
today over the brutal murder of a beautiful 23-year-old waitress on a commuter train. The accused killer has a history of violence and mental illness, yet was free on no cash bail.
Here are the facts that many outlets have.
Wait. That line, you know why I paused it, right? He was free on no cash bail. Because it's discriminatory. It's racially discriminatory, right? To require impoverished people to post bail. That's what we were told. That's when this whole left-wing thing started. And since the majority of the people being arrested are minorities, and minorities, racial minorities, typically are more impoverished, it creates a disparate relationship between white suspects who are arrested and are going to stand trial and people of color. So in order to erase that disparity, we're just going to say no cash bail. We process you, we book you, we take your fingerprints, and then we make you promise, pinky swearsy, that you'll show up for trial. Meantime, you get to go out and hurt more people. No cash bail, one of the left-wing policies, left-wing efforts in the progressive agenda that we've been talking about that puts normal, average, decent, innocent, defenseless people at risk. Here's the rest of the story.
Shamefully and intentionally failed to report until President Trump drew attention to it.
Disturbing surveillance video shows Irina Zarutska, a refugee from war-torn Ukraine who sought peace and safety in the USA, stepping onto the train after finishing her shift at a pizza restaurant. In the seat behind her is 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown. Watch as he slowly opens a pocket knife, then stands and without warning plunges the knife into his victim in an unprovoked attack. He strides away, and at first, even Irina doesn't seem to realize how badly wounded she is, but her life is ebbing away. We spoke with WSOC TV reporter Hunter Sines.
It's surreal that this was.
That's all we really need, I think, from the story. Did you notice what I said about the same stroll? You know, it's the same stroll as the guy who hit Jeanette in the head in Seattle, or I'm sorry, in the eye in Seattle and gouged out her eye, commits that horrific, wanton, vicious, violent assault, and then just walks away as if nothing ever happened. Like he just threw some corn to the ducks at the pond, just like, oh, here's what I do, and then I walk away. No big. That's what this looks like. And it looks like that in all of these cases. That's 2. Number 3, you may not be quite as familiar with. Let me make sure that I have the correct one to share with you now. Actually, I don't. This is here's the reason why. These are 2 of them that are very, very similar that I'm going to give you back to back. I wish I didn't have to have them to give you at all, to be quite frank. But this is what I'm going to share with you. This one is from Chicago. Yeah, this one is from Chicago. Federal terrorism charge filed against a man who set a woman on fire on a Chicago train. And, you know, they use the word allegedly in the news headlines and in the stories because they have to, but we have video of it. So there's no allegedly. It's what happened. 26-year-old Bethany McGee is the victim. 50-year-old Lawrence Reed is the suspect. Happened on the CTA Blue Line train in Chicago. Bethany McGee was riding the CTA Blue Line when Lawrence Reed poured gasoline on her. He didn't just strike a match and flick it at somebody hoping it would catch their scarf. He doused her in gasoline, chased her through the train car because she realized she had just been dumped by gasoline. Chased her through the train car, according to the multiple reports. As she fled, he caught up with her, and authorities say he attempted to ignite her once and failed, but did not give up, continued the chase until finally she had nowhere else to run. And then he did ignite the gasoline he had poured on her, leaving her with severe, life-threatening burns. Authorities stated Reed had, are you ready for the commonality here? 3 decades of repeated contact with law enforcement, including violent offenses. Despite this history, somebody left his cage open and he was free to go and attack more prey. This case reinforced fears that extreme violence on public transit is no longer rare, and that is very, very true. But what it also did, and most importantly what it did, is it reminded everybody else that we do not have a criminal justice system that is capable of protecting the people if all they care about is the criminal. The victims don't matter if the criminals particularly are of minority status. They're going to be given lighter sentences and set free because of perceived previous decades, unfairness within the criminal justice system. A lot of people like to cite and go back to the, powder cocaine would draw you this sentence while rock cocaine would draw you a harsher sentence. Well, guess what? Powder is more expensive. So white junkies can afford the powder. They get lighter sentences. Rock cocaine is cheaper. And black people have less money, these junkies, so they buy the rock, and the rock gets more time because of racism. This is what all of this circles back to, that the criminal justice system is racism, and it's racist, I should say, and it's got to be fixed. That's what they say. All right. I don't have the actual video of that one, and I don't have the actual story for the screen for this one. So just allow me to share with you part 2 of Burned Alive. New York City. Deborah Kawam, Kawam. That's the victim. She was sleeping on a stationary subway car when prosecutors say Sebastian Zapata Khalil walked up to her and set her on fire. I remember this one. Witnesses say, and surveillance footage show the victim fully engulfed in flames, screaming as passengers fled. Authorities say the suspect stood by watching. This one strolled, but didn't leave the scene, strolled away, probably just far enough away to not get caught by one of the flames, and turned and watched the victim burn. According to witnesses, some saw him fanning the flames as she burned to death. Imagine that, lighting another human being on fire and then fanning the flames to get them to grow. The killing shocked the nation for its deliberate cruelty and occurred in a public place equipped with cameras, patrol cars, and emergency systems, none of which prevented the act. Zapata Khalil was reported to be an illegal alien from Guatemala. No knowledge at this point in time that this one fits the same common theme as the others in terms of the cage being left open. Don't know about his previous record. Don't know how long he's been here. Again, an illegal alien. What we do know is that somebody left the gate to the goddamn southern border open. We know that. Joe Biden left the gate open and then rolled out the red carpet and said, come on, Guatemalans, Iraqis, Iranians, Afghans, it doesn't matter. You could be from some of the worst, most terrorist countries in the world. You can come from Latin America, from South America, from Central America. You can come from El Salvador, Venezuela, Colombia. It doesn't matter. Just get in here. I remember that time when Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, said, yo, you got to come through our state to get into the rest of the country. And he put up that razor wire and those barriers. And Joe Biden said, no, I want Sebastian Zepeda Khalil to be able to get here to burn people alive. So he sent out forklifts to raise the razor wire to create a little bridge and let everybody walk under it and come on in. It's the same thing as leaving the cage open in the prison or the jail. Animals shouldn't be allowed to live with other people, or shouldn't be allowed to live with people, is what it comes down to. That was number 4. Number 5, this one I'm sure you'll remember. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a bonus. Kind of forgot. When I put all of these together last night, that was all I had. But this morning, I was poking around and I found another one. Let me see if you can get a read on this one real quick. Yeah, this is a bonus. This actually will be number 8 in the full list of this whole thing. Let me share this with you. Once again. Yeah, there we go. This is from The Guardian. Man set on fire in New York's Times Square. Wait, what? Yeah. And again, this is not random. This is not random. These all carry the same types of markers, which make them, as I said before, essentially, having more in common than they do different. More in common than they have differences. A 45-year-old man was set on fire in the middle of Times Square overnight. What's the date on this? This is from March of this year. So I told you most of this is from this year in the last several months. According to police, 3 months after a woman was killed on the subway car, the one that I just told you about, and it says it's not a paywall, but I'm not going to sign up to this whole thing to be able to read this because it's more of the same story. Footage from the scene captured the moments the man, shirtless and severely burned, was rushed by authorities into an ambulance after the flames were extinguished. Again, wide open, broad daylight, lots of witnesses, lots of people around, and they're committing these types of horrific crimes. Which, of course, begs the question, what is the goal here? If the goal is to get away, why wouldn't you be a little bit more secretive about it? If the goal is not to get away because you don't care who's looking, then we have the question of, well, what role does mental illness play in all of this? To which, quite frankly, I'm going to say something similar. I don't give a rat's red ass if they're mentally ill. If they're mentally ill, lock their cage. Okay? That doesn't mean everybody with mental illness gets a cage. If you're depressed because your wife left you and your dog died and your kid decided to transition into a furry and you're depressed, you don't get a cage. But if you are someone who commits an act of violence and you have mental illness, here's your cage. I'll do a Jeff Foxworthy here. Or no, that wasn't Jeff Foxworthy. That was, who did Here's Your Sign? Bill Engvall. Here's your cage. Dangerous animals should be kept away from humans by way of cages. Sick, animalistic individuals who maybe through no fault of their own, but they're still very dangerous, have to be kept away from humans. And that's what it sounds like some of these are. All right, this one should be, this one is number 5. So let's do this one. Perhaps you recognize Holly. Should, actually. Holly is the first name of the woman who was targeted and attacked in that vicious assault in that night after a concert or whatever it was this summer in July down in Cincinnati. Now, you may recall this. I'm going to let the story play out for a little bit, and I think you'll get a view of the punch, the complete sucker punch from a male that just knocked her out cold on the ground. And it was one of at least 3 cold-cocked sucker punches that happened on that night in Cincinnati. I'm going to let you guess what the commonalities are. All right. I think you'll probably get this one because the victims all had something in common and the perpetrators all had something in common. But let's let the story play out here.
Viral video shows a fight break out in the middle of the street in downtown Cincinnati, and police chief, state leaders now releasing harsh words for those involved, including the ones who recorded the video instead of jumping in to help or even dialing 911. News 5's Sean McKinnon joining us live outside District 1 headquarters with what we know about the investigation into that video. Sean.
Yeah, Councilmember Mark Jeffrey said this fight happened at 3 a.m. today. We've got new video tonight as police piece together exactly how and why this started, and state lawmakers take notice. A massive fight between more than a dozen people in the middle of the street. At 4th and Elm, just a block uphill from Paycor Stadium. Videos posted online show punches and kicks being thrown, continuing after a man is knocked to the ground.
And I have to pause it here because this is the media being the media. This is why we talk about it so much, and this is why it's so problematic. This is just the media doing media type things. They're saying it was a massive fight, a massive brawl. A brawl indicates two equal combatants or two groups of equal combatants, both agreeing to brawl. It is not a brawl. It is not a large fight. When one person comes up behind another person who is completely unsuspecting and otherwise engaged and punches them in the temple or the side of the face and knocks them out, and then proceeds to wail on that individual while they are down. That's not a large brawl. That's a pack of animalistic thugs attacking a human because they got out of their cage. And I don't care, again, if they are as white as the driven snow, or if they are black or brown or purple or green or yellow or orange and have leaves for hair. I don't give a crap. Animalistic behavior is animalistic no matter what. All right? That's not a brawl. That's not a fight. And then when a woman sees her friend being attacked and she goes in there to try to pull her friend out and then gets cold cocked the way Holly did here, again, not a brawl, not a fight, an assault, a violent, animalistic assault. Let's get back at it.
As the fight goes on, videos show a man punching a woman, knocking her unconscious. Chief Teresa Thigi called it a sudden dispute between individuals following a verbal altercation, saying, "I am in complete disgust waking up to the viral video many of you have now seen. The behavior displayed is nothing short of cruel and absolutely unacceptable. Our investigative team is working diligently to identify every individual involved in causing harm." The fight spreading on social media. State lawmaker Cecil Thomas, who represents parts of Cincinnati, saying it's unacceptable under any standard, and those involved should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Therefore, as your state representative, I trust that there will be a full and complete investigation of this incident by the Cincinnati Police Department and to bring charges against all involved. And the president of the union representing officers calling the violence disgusting, saying what's equally disgusting is those who chose to watch and record instead of calling 911.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer Kober. Absolutely. How many in the chat? Anybody watching and chatting right now? You tell me if you're a guy. If you saw a woman being punched in such a way, or if you saw the guy who got thrown down in the middle of the street and being punched and kicked by 5 or 6 of the animals, are you keeping your recorder out, or are you going out there and restoring order? Either through your constitutional carry permit, which is no permit at all because we have the constitutional right to carry, or through throwing hands. Because that's exactly right, what this union president said. How many people stood there and watched it and recorded it, rather getting clicks and views rather than helping somebody?
Attempting to defuse the situation or render aid. I have full faith in the Central Business Section investigators. They will make arrests in the near future. It will then be the responsibility of the court system to hold these violent thugs accountable.
Okay. Unfortunately, we didn't actually get to see the punch that knocked out Holly. I'm going to try this one instead and see if this is it. Okay. Actually, this is the other part of this that I talked about. This is not a fight. This is not equal combatants, as they call it, right? This is not a fight. This is an assault. This is a guy getting sucker punched, spun around, pushed out into the street, and then the pack just completely converges on him. This isn't a fight. This is a straight up gang assault. Watch this very closely, because this is the one that leads up to eventually Holly being sucker punched the way that she did. Here's the sucker punch on him. And now he is just going to be discreet. Men, women, punching, kicking in the face. Look at this. It went on. More kicks, more punches, more beating. And how many times do I have to hear the idiot recording yelling, "Oh, like, isn't this awesome? Oh, isn't this so cool? Oh." This is what I mean. Animalistic thugs. And again, it's not a racial thing. I don't care who you are. You do that, you're a thug and you're an animal. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here to see if we can find out where, because I don't want to listen to that clown anymore. But here's the guy still getting beaten. But I'm going to try to get to where the woman was just completely knocked out.
My boy Trump. Damn.
Now there's Holly. There it is. You saw it. She is not a part of any fight. She and her friend were leaving a rock concert or some sort of a show, or some sort of a concert, when they found themselves in the middle of this pack of people, and her friend was being assaulted. She moved in to try to pull her friend out. She didn't hit anybody. She didn't harm anybody. But watch what happened when a grown-ass man decides he's going to be, I can't even think of the words for him when he does this. Here she is in the flower dress. She looks pretty much dead because her eyes are open. She's unconscious. Commonalities, right? Commonalities. Pack mentality, complete and utter disregard for the defenselessness of the victim. A 75-year-old grandmother being blasted with a giant board with a bolt and washer and nut on the end of it. Little defenseless 94-pound girl sitting on a rail car after working at the pizza shop. A stab to the neck from behind. I mean, go on and on. We go back and look at all of these. A woman sleeping on the subway train set on fire. Another woman standing there waiting for her subway train to end, gets dumped with gasoline and chased and then set on fire. Total defenselessness. That guy who got sucker punched. The woman, Holly here, who got sucker punched. Holly was waiting for an Uber when she was hit, knocked unconscious, sent head first into the pavement. Video shows her lying motionless while attackers walked away, which we just showed you. Doctors warned later she could have died easily from the head trauma from both a punch and, let me go ahead and get that off the screen, from the punch and from the landing on the ground, the blow to the back of the head when she landed on the ground. Court records show at least one of the defendants, Montanez Merriweather, is a convicted felon, literally federally indicted for illegal firearm possession with a history including aggravated robbery. Another animal. So I left the cage open. The attack was random, filmed, and widely shared before arrests were finally made. All of that is true. Number 7 on this list is, I don't know if I have the video of this one. No, I don't, but I have a news story that will share with you what happened in this particular case. This one is New York City again. Hold on, lady. This one is rather interesting. It's also New York City. Let me pull it up for you so you can watch the whole thing. This one is New York City, and it involves a woman whose name was not released publicly and a perpetrator named Marvin Alexander. What did he do? Did he stab, burn, hit with a board with a screw in it, sucker punch? What did he do to his innocent victim, which makes this again? Are we, by the way, are we past the stage of epidemic yet? These are all within the past few months. I don't know where we are in the what the threshold is to say there's an epidemic of violence, random street violence by uncontrolled animals attacking defenseless victim human beings. Don't know where we are, but I think this is probably pretty close to epidemic status. Watch.
How long a man will spend behind bars for shoving a stranger onto a subway track in Manhattan.
Today, the victim addressed her attacker directly during his sentencing.
Did you see it?
Witnesses reported Darla Miles was inside the courthouse.
I'm going to pause that there because I want you to see it. It's not the person in the foreground, obviously. See this person? I'm going to put my cursor over it. It's not the person in the foreground that you're focusing on here, which of course is easy to do. It's the first thing you see. But right behind that individual over here on the other side of this post, there's the subway track. There's just a defenseless woman standing there waiting for the next train, safely behind the yellow line, which everybody knows that's where you're supposed to be. But what do we get? A stabbing, a burning? No, not in this case. Just goodbye. You're going onto the tracks. Watch again.
Victim addressed her attacker directly during his sentencing. Eyewitnesses reported Darla Miles was inside the courthouse when it happened. She's live now in Lower Manhattan. Darla.
Good evening, David. Now, it has been 2 years since this incident, and this is the first time this 36-year-old mother has come face to face with the man who pushed her 6 feet down onto the subway tracks. And I can tell you 2 years later, she was still visibly shaken and sobbing. This afternoon, Janin Yu was in the courtroom with her husband when 43-year-old Samuel Junker was escorted in by court officers. This was for a sentencing after reaching a plea agreement in this shoving case. This happened in August 2023. Shu was walking on the platform at the Chambers Street station around 11 p.m. when out of nowhere, Junker just came up from behind and shoved her onto the subway tracks. Luckily, there was not a train coming at the time, but she did fracture her knee badly during the incident. And during her victim impact statement this afternoon, through an interpreter, she said that her mental recovery has been far worse than her physical recovery. I quote, "Although I survived, my life was never the same. The act of violence tears away my sense of security and safety, that I am not able to be like anyone else at ease. I only hope everyone can understand my pain, and please, I ask the court to punish the person who assaulted me, to let him pay the price." Now, prosecutors from the Manhattan DA's office asked for 12 years. Instead, he was sentenced to 10 years, in addition to 5 years post-release supervision. And also in court today, something that we don't rarely see, is that the suspect had some words for his victim in this case. I'll have that coming up tonight on Eyewitness News at 6. For now,
I don't have that part of the story. I don't know what he said. But again, commonalities. What's common in this case? Race? Nope. Animalistic. And I'm glad that guy is as white as I am, so to make the point. Should not be allowed around human beings. Animals belong in cages behind those bars, and they shouldn't be unlocked. Now, he got a 10-year sentence. If he serves all 10 years and is deemed to be less than, I won't ever say not a threat, but less than the threat he was when he went in, maybe you think about unlocking that cage. Maybe. But if what the typical criminal justice system does takes place here, which is he serves 2.5 of those years and then gets out on shock parole. And he feels, wow, that was nothing, and is almost invincible and unconcerned about what the justice system will do to him because he's already been let off. He's going to pray again. Now, the chances are very good here. And again, we'll go back to the race aspect of this, or the majority minority aspect of this. The reality is, being a white guy committing this type of heinous crime, he's probably doing all 10. He's probably doing all 10. The movement became, and guess what? Even our favorite president was part of this too, President Trump. When he did his, massive criminal justice reform that led a whole lot of, African-American celebrities and African-American adjacent celebrities. And I say that just because I don't know how you describe Kim Kardashian. She's not African-American, but she was married to Kanye and, a lot of that kind of stuff. But there were a lot of people that pressured Donald Trump into opening up the cages and letting a whole lot of people out in the interest of, racial equity in the criminal justice system. So it's not just Democrats, it's primarily Democrats. And most of the big blue cities are where all of these things are taking place. But even President Trump got caught up in that too. And that means that white people with such convictions as this probably doing all 10. But because of the numbers in the prisons, overcrowded primarily by racial minorities, somebody gets a 10-year stretch like that, they're probably going to be out in 2 to 3. Somebody leaves the door open and the animals go attack again. That's what it comes down to. And I hope you understand why I keep talking about this in the way that I am. And then the last one, so this would be number 9. Like I said, I found a couple of bonus ones this morning that I didn't even prep last night when I put all of this together. So let me share this one with you. This is another Chicago one. What have we had? We've had 2 Chicagos. Hold on. We've had 2 Chicagos, I believe, and we've had 2 New Yorks, Cincinnati, Charlotte, North Carolina, which is interesting, Seattle, and yeah, that's where our numbers are at the moment. Maybe it's 3 New Yorks because of the bonus one I found. But anyway, this one is going to go back to a game that certain gangs like to play, targeting innocent victims, targeting defenseless people with sucker punches in order to earn credibility within their gang, etc. Some of them are not part of gangs. Some of them are just, again, mental defects that just, have no ability to live with other people or don't know how to live with other people. But at any rate, let me see if we can... yeah, we've got her up there. Let me see if I can play this for you.
Works downtown 1 day a week. Today, she's still suffering the consequences of that random attack. But it is what she found out about the person who prosecutors say did it that has led her to speak out.
He hit me with such force.
Sitting at home in Lake Villa today, Kathy Miles admits the last thing she remembers before her attack on August the 19th is walking past Block 37 in the Loop on the way to the Union Station.
I woke up and my coworker was standing above me saying, "You're okay, we're in the hospital, you've been assaulted."
She then passed out again.
The next thing I remember is my daughter Deanna saying, "Hi Mama, I'm here, you're okay."
And while she doesn't remember what happened, a colleague who was walking with her at the time told her this.
She had said this man came in between the two of us, shoved us apart, and then hit me in the face.
That punch left Miles with several broken bones in her face, as well as a concussion. According to police, she was assaulted by 32-year-old William Livingston. A record search produced 13 mugshots of Livingston going back to 2012. A large number of those arrests for aggravated assault and battery of both women and police officers, something Miles found out after the fact.
Like, what is enough? What does someone have to do where he's going to be, they're going to be held accountable?
According to online...
I think she just asked, why did somebody open up his cage? Why did somebody let the cage door open to this animal's cage? Why? That's it. That's the question. And sadly, again, going back to commonalities, in almost all of these, not all of them, but almost all of them, same stories. and I think I've dropped it on the screen a few times here. When demographics are ignored, people are victimized. And that's just true. The demographics here have to matter. They have to matter. If the message gets sent that if you look a certain way, you're not going to be prosecuted as fully or locked up for as long as you would be if you would look like something else, you feel entitled and empowered to go out there and do whatever you want, to be animalistic and to prey on people. The demographics matter. Here's the rest of that story.
Records, Livingston's history of random acts of violence against women goes back 8 years. In 2017, he was accused of randomly attacking 2 women months apart. Both cases were dropped. In 2022, Livingston was sentenced to 5 years in prison after prosecutors said he punched and attempted to rob 4 women within 20 minutes in the Loop. And yet, just 14 months later, in 2023, while on parole, Livingston was arrested for hitting a woman in the face on North Michigan Avenue. And in 2024, he was sentenced to 100 days in prison after punching a 15-year-old girl, also on North Michigan Avenue.
I'm not going to let someone speak for me. I need to speak for myself. I need to say something. If I say nothing and he does this to another person, I'm going to feel bad.
Of course he's going to do this again to another person. It's all he knows, right? What do animals know how to do but be animals? To be vicious, attacking animals. You just heard it. How many of those in a row? And with the one woman, he got 100 days? 100 days to the one in 2023? 100 days? That's 3 months. That's 3 months in jail for his, 5th or 6th or 7th conviction of violently assaulting women. 100 days. And are we to be surprised then that less than a year later in 2024 last year, bang, a 15-year-old girl knocked out cold by the same thug? How much did he get for that one? How much? How long before they opened up his cage door? Not very, because then he went out and did it this year to her. The subject of that story. Again, commonalities. Let's take a look at all of the things that these individuals have in common with one another. They are not all identical, but the commonalities far outweigh the differences. They find defenseless people who cannot fight back, have no chance. They catch them by surprise. They stroll away like it's no big deal, like they do it all the time. And most of the time, they do. More often than not, overwhelmingly, they're racial and ethnic minorities. And the victims, again, not 100%, but overwhelmingly, they are racial majorities. And the individuals who are the perpetrators have lengthy criminal records. But we won't lock them up and close the door and leave it that way. And I'm not saying every first-time assault deserves a life sentence. Don't get me wrong. But we're not talking about the first-time assaulters here. We're talking about 8 arrests for this guy, 15 for that guy, 7 for that guy, 9 for that guy. They have proven that every time they're arrested and convicted of a violent crime, when they're let out, they're going to commit another one. They don't know how to live among people in decent society without preying upon them. It's not in their DNA. They can exist behind bars, in cages. I know I keep using the metaphor, but if you go down to Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, or go to the Chicago, what's the famous zoo in Chicago called? Not Brook Park, something. Go to the Columbus Zoo. I'll stay here in our home state. Beautiful zoo. Got a lot of wonderful, beautiful animals to look at. You leave the door open on the tiger cage, somebody's getting tigered. You leave the door open on a lion cage, somebody's getting attacked. Animals don't know much more than that. That's what they do. And it is the exact same thing with all of these stories that I've been sharing with you in this hour. The commonalities far, far, far outweigh the differences. You leave the cages open and you tell the animals they don't have to stay in there anymore. The animals are going to go and do what animals do. They're going to attack. So that's the meat of it. No pun intended with my animal eating reference, but that's the meat of it. And that's what I wanted to share with you, because when that woman, and again, what put me over the top here, going back to the first story of the first story of the show, and can I still find, no, I don't know if I can pull this one up again. Yeah, I guess I can. The first story of the this part of the show, I should say, the attack on Jeanette. What was her name? Jeanette Markin, the 75-year-old in Seattle. Just absolutely horrific. Let me just share this with you again. If you just tuned in late to the live stream today, this is the story that we've been talking about. This animal right here, who doesn't have like sharp teeth like the tiger in the zoo. So he goes ahead and carries around a big hunk of wood, a big long, thick stick, like a board. He drills a hole in it and puts a big giant, here, I can show you the picture of that, puts a big giant bolt with there it is. See this? Let me zoom that. A big bolt with a nut and with a washer on the end of it. So whatever it plunges into, it's going to pull everything out with it because of that washer. Don't think that that's an accident. Don't think that that's in any way, shape, or form, not intentional. That's what he uses. So that piece of trash right there that we're talking about, that animal doesn't have the teeth and the claws to harm the way if you let a zoo animal out. So he's got to create his own weapon for destruction. And that's what he did to the 75-year-old Jeanette. Here it is again, in case you missed it. You're going to walk over there. There she is. And he's going to two-fisted baseball swing like he was Mark McGwire in his prime and swing as hard as he can with that giant piece of wood and slam that into the face of that 75-year-old woman, plunging that intentional bolt, nut, and washer into the eye socket of the woman and ripping her eye out with it, which was exactly the intention, and leaving her with multiple facial fractures. Fortunately, the video here is always paused right at the moment of impact and then immediately picks back up after she's on the ground. So here it is again. Looks like we're grinding a little bit here. I'm not sure if, let me see if I can get you the other video. It's in two places on the same page, I believe. Now it looks like that's just the still shot. Yeah, the video seems to be frozen, but that's okay. Maybe you've already seen it, or maybe you already understand the point here. Let me give it one more shot though. Yeah, it's just going to grind for a little bit. That's okay. The point being that I wanted you to get, obviously, is that this isn't a one-off. This isn't a random thing. This is the latest in a long series of these. And whether it's burning or stabbing or shoving or punching, shoving onto the train tracks, or punching, cold cocking, defenseless people, hitting them from behind, polar bear hunting, as it is sometimes called, with African-American gangs looking for a lone white person to knock out from behind like that in order to get initiated in or to gain clout or whatever the case might be. All of these things have the commonalities that we have to figure out how to deal with in order to live in a decent society. And I started the show today asking that very question. And I put it in the newsletter, as I said earlier. And that is, what do decent people wanting to live in decent society do? What can we do? Do we elect the prosecutors? In some cases we do. Do we elect judges? In some cases we do. Do we elect legislators? In all cases we do. I don't care what state you're in. But we have got to stop electing soft on crime prosecutors, handing cases up to soft on crime judges who are ruling with soft on crime laws handed to them by soft on crime legislators, and allowing these people to cycle through almost as quickly as they get arrested, go through the system, get booked, get mugshotted, get fingerprinted, and then be let go. And during the period of time between that arraignment and a trial, how many more victims get hit? Because no cash bail. And then if they do get convicted when they come back, slap on the wrist, 90 days, 30 days or whatever, and then right back out. All right, I got a nice rest here. Oh, slept in deep every day in my cell, and now I'm ready to go back out and get after it again. That's what happens. All right, I wanted to see what the chat had to say. And let me just go ahead and pop in here for a moment or two. And by the way, thank you to everybody that is in the chat. And thank you, by the way, that looks like I'm seeing some people. Michelle, thank you for the tip jar. Plink, is it P-L-I-N-C? It looks like Plink. Thank you for the tip also, for hitting that Rumble Rants down there at the bottom. Thank you. A nice donation from NCNCIG as well. These people are enjoying themselves. Another one from NCCIG. I appreciate it. If you are appreciative of what we're doing and if you're engaging in the conversation, and it means something to you. That's what it's about. We literally support one another on this platform because we have no corporate sponsors. This isn't some sort of corporate radio gig. Everything we do, if you want me to keep doing this, we're just going to have to do it this way because it's the only way. It's the only way it works. Let's see. The New American Media says that's Brian. It's self-evident when humans deserve to lose their free-range privileges. Democrats continue to be the masters of upside-down logic. Fire every blue politician everywhere to save humanity. You're not wrong. Ben says, those freaking cowards, and write my blank. Let's see. Ernie says, regarding the Epstein, this is a little off topic, but it's okay. I covered it today. Regarding the Epstein file release, I think the decision was made to add comment because once the information is out, the narrative is set. To correct the media narrative afterward would get no attention. I think either one of them would get no attention, but I do understand your point. Politically Incorrect says effing animals. He's right. Patriot Warrior Texas says always carry extended magazines. Right. Can you please play that without that asshole yelling? You know, the one who's going, oh, I feel like punching him. So do we. PC says, once again, where's someone with a gun when you need one? Exactly right. Ben says they're cowardly a-holes and animals. Couldn't care less about the mentally ill. And that's, I get it. I do. And I don't mean to be harsh because somebody who is typically mentally ill is not their own fault. If you are suffering from a brain disorder, a mental disorder, and it's not your fault, I get it. But it doesn't mean we can just say, well, since it's not your fault, we can let you go and have free reign to find more victims. You've got to be locked away. Institutionalization needs to happen. We stopped institutionalizing some of the dangerously, violently mentally ill decades ago because it was deemed to be, after One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest came out in the 1970s, it was deemed to be cruel and unusual punishment to take somebody with a psych disorder who might be violent and locking them away in an institution like that. They made the institutions look and feel as dehumanizing and as insensitive and uncaring as possible to the actual patients in there so that it made it look like we can't keep doing this to people. Let's find other ways to keep them outside of the cages. And it leads to, sadly, a lot of these types of things. YF613 says, I'm not one for violence, but somebody needs to punch the guy recording in the face a few hundred times. Agree. Patriot Warrior, rabid animals need the axe. Lindy, you need to carry mace and a taser now. How sad. I'm telling you what, I'm training my 24-year-old daughter to do more than mace. She's already got the spray, the pepper spray. But I've taken her shooting only once. And that's on me because she lives in Tennessee. We're not around each other very much. But I'm going to ensure that she gets enough training and she's going to carry whatever she needs to carry to make sure she's safe because you're exactly right. What happened to Holly can happen to her and anybody else around her. And absolutely self-defensive measures need to be taught. Bob, maybe we should clip that guy's audio to play after a particularly good Bob Road rant like the Can You Dig It clip. No, the Can You Dig It thing is a good thing. Listening to that guy celebrating the beating of somebody, in such an animalistic way, not something I would want to celebrate. Lindy, Merry Christmas, Bob. We love you. Lindy, I love you too. Thank you for that. God bless. It's nice to hear nice things like that. It should be illegal to plea bargain a violent crime down to a nonviolent crime or a heck of a lot less violent than what they actually did. Agree, Ben. And Ernie, The other issue is the weak mental health system. After a little treatment, people are outpatients where treatment compliance is pathetic. That's a good way to wrap this one. All right, everybody. Just a reminder, what I started the show with. Listen, it matters. It matters a lot to me. Here's what I want you to do. I'm about to click end the live stream, and then it's going to load up and it's going to be saved as a video. What I want you to do is find that video on the page, on the channel, and I want you to right-click it. I want you to look for copy link address to this show. And then I want you to take that copied link address, and I want you to go into your email inbox, or your email box, I should say, and pick 10 friends that are like-minded, and then paste that into the body and saying, got to listen to this show, got to watch this show, got to follow and subscribe to this show and turn on notifications, because we need to grow this. This is what it's all about. All right. I've got a goal. We're just under 1,000 followers right now. The show's barely a week old. I need to grow that to 10,000. That's the goal. It can happen if everybody watching right now sends that to 10 people, or goes into your own social media and posts it and @s 10 people, right? If everybody does that to 10 people, we will grow. We'll get over 1,000, we'll get over 1,200, 1,500, 2,000, and we will be on our way to reaching more people so we can help shape the opinions of the American people the way we need to going into this 2026 midterm year, so that we don't elect more of the people like we're talking about now that allow these horrific things to happen. So that's what I need you to do. And again, if you can financially support the channel, I know every channel asks for this, but if you can do so, keep hitting that tip jar, or finding the Give, Send, Go, or finding the PayPals and the Cash Apps and the other things out there. Please do what you can do, because we have to support one another. This is a partnership. I said it from the beginning. I'm not the presenter and you're just the consumer. I'm not the host and you're just the listener, follower, viewer. I'm a partner and you're a partner, and we have to team up together to continue to get these messages out. So please consider doing all of the above. Like, follow, share, subscribe, and share, and then share it literally, the link to this channel, and advise people to follow it. 10 people on your email list, 10 people on your social medias. If you can do that, we will be successful and we will have the impact we desire. Not desire, that we must have. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it very much. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Guess what we're doing on Christmas Eve morning? This freaking show. We're going to be back from 10 until noon tomorrow as well. I'm going to give you recorded stuff for Christmas Day on Thursday, but for tomorrow, we will be live. So set your clocks and make sure that you're with us tomorrow morning right here again on Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. God bless. Be well.